Hello everybody, welcome back to another breakdown. Today we're looking at some fine work by Sebastian Wintero, I think his name is, and he's very good at cinematography. We're gonna look at some quality examples. It's a car commercial, so we may talk a little bit about that, but I really wanna focus, laser focus, so this thing isn't 45 minutes long, on a few specific scenes and some setups, and we'll see some things. So let's get into it. You're looking at it now. This is car commercial. Here we go. Inspired true drone shot into backlight, into meditation. Can I get the car, please? Yes. There's the car. In my dreams, I see it. Now I'm in a mansion. I paint as well. I shall sell my paintings for a car. Sunlight, epic sun pouring through because I am epic. And so are the camera moves. Yes, driving, running, athletic, drive Mercedes. Live the dream, and sunset is golden. Okay, so that's the ad. So let's look at some of these first things, right? I guess, first up, we look at this drone shot, and drones are drones. Can't really do much to affect the lighting, but this is going to tell us the rest of the story here. So if we go full screen here, this is gonna tell us the whole story of what we're gonna see in the follow-up sequences, right? Because they have to match this light, at least for the most part. We've seen, as we do more and more of these breakdowns, we've seen that the light really never has to match. You just make every single shot look good, somebody smushes it all together, and we get somebody in post to make it all seem like it was perfectly balanced, and then we take the credit for it. So, I mean, that's the way it works. A lot of the times, you know, you would have to, the list of credits, if you went through every single person that made a project great, it would take forever. We'd be doing this whole video. So yes, Sebastian is the cinematographer, but the amount of people that you have to get on board to make this thing look halfway decent is just enormous. So normally we just give the credit to the cinematographers because it's easier and there is a common denominator, right? You're the person in charge of saying, yes, this looks good, or no, it doesn't. Commercials though, by the time you get to the grade, you're not even there, you're on another job, you're in Kiev and life is good, you're drinking whatever they drink there, and you couldn't care less about the commercial. So let's get into this one, right? That makes perfect sense. If we go here, we're gonna see, oh my gosh, what is that, sun? What are we creating contrast in here? What are we going light to dark, and the sun, is it in the shot? No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't you dare put the sun in the shot. Okay, from there, we go to hello. This is like the perfect, and I don't know if this is actually a pretty old commercial, I think. So I doubt this was shot on anything bigger than Super 35, like a normal Alexa. But yes, please, can I get film grain for 500, Alex? I will take DaVinci Resolve grain here, please, and can we crank it up? So we gone heavy on the grain, but this is the perfect size frame for when you would actually notice a difference in, or that I think that I noticed the difference in between full frame, like the Alexa Mini LF or the Venice or the Weapon or the DXL2 and the Super 35. It's something like this distance as well, where normally, you know, it would be hard to separate this person from the background because they're so far away from the camera and the shot is so wide that it would be hard to get that separation. Whereas in the full frame world, it just feels like you can just pinpoint this specific person and then you can get as much fall off there as you do, say, here, right? So this is a good example of that middle distance where I think full frame actually makes a difference. So what are we looking at here? Sun, where are you? You're hitting him in the top of the head. So you're somewhere over here. This is in shadow over here, so maybe this region, right, feels about right. And the idea being that we're creating layers, right? We've got layer 1 here, 2, our boys in the middle 3, 4, well, really the water is 4, 5, and then the deep sky, right? So creating layers, just masking as much of the image to make it interesting as we can, and then salt and peppering across the frame. So dark, light, dark on the back, light on the head, light, how far can I stretch this to dark? Okay, just interesting, just creating layers, but backlight really is the key here, right? Backlight makes this thing interesting. If you had the sun on the opposite side, which if we draw it over here, the sun, and it was going this way at him, imagine how boring this shot would look. So we keep going, we coming in, creeping in, and ta-da, now we land on the reverse of this shot. And the reverse is pretty close to what it would actually look like, right? Like sometimes you see these things faked really, or you know, nobody even cares for the continuity, but this is pretty close to what that previous shot would have looked like, because you can feel that even the direction here of the background shadow, right? It's pretty much in the same direction. What Sebastian hasn't done here is we have gone full gritty mode. And gritty mode is a term that has never been used before. I just made that up. But it is basically, if you're not going to soften off the sun and you are going for this frame, right, where you have full control here. You can do whatever you want. You could put in an overhead to really soften this up, and then you could bounce a little bit of light in. Hard to bounce though here because of the angle of the sun, right? If the angle of the sun is coming right at this guy, all you can really do is soften. Soften, and then you can neg. And if you want a little edge, you can go mirror into diffusion, you can go bounce into diffusion, you can do lots of stuff. But basically, the thing to notice here is we go from backlit there to side lit there, still shooting into the shadow, right? He's looking this way. We parked him a little bit over to the right-hand side, but just to create some interest and hard light, little tiny edge back there. At least it's interesting in the background because we're creating variance. And you can see how much DaVinci Resolve noise there is there. Okay, we come into that. That's a nice looking shot. We're into the car stuff. We're not really going to talk about the car stuff because I guess we can talk about this one because this one is the framework exterior setup, right? You don't want the sun in the shot. It's over here somewhere, or maybe, actually it's back here, sorry, back here somewhere, because you see nothing lit up here. You see a little bit of harsh sun here on the building itself. That tells you the direction of the sun. The shadow, it's not like it's going super long this way. It's pretty contained underneath the car. Ooh, chances of that car actually being there? Don't know. But again, interest. We're using the darkness in the foreground. Like shoot past. This is almost like when we talk about the dinner scenes on the podcast, or we talk about the locker room stuff on the podcast, where you're going to want a pool, and then you're going to want to shoot into the pool, right? You're not going to want to shoot from the pool out, because from the pool out looks terrible. When I'm talking pool, I just mean pool of light. So we're going to look to shoot into or past the pool. And in this situation, it's great because the only thing we have to deal with is, because of the schedule and the time that we've chosen to be here and the location and the orientation of the action that we've chosen. Like imagine if you shot it from over here, right? There's you got your camera, right, on the tripod, and you're shooting this way. This is gonna look terrible. It's gonna be completely black over here. The car is going to be nuclear because it's getting lit up from the sun, and it's not gonna look good. But here, again, you see that little bit of sun, so it's toppy up here, but this is all in shadow. And when that's all in shadow, that means this in the foreground is really gonna pop because it's standing out. And the only thing we have to balance for is the sky. That's all we can't control in this situation. So we balance for the sky, then we decide, okay, what do we want the shadows to look like? You meet them in between, you squeeze and you drop, like the color correction videos we've been over before, and that's how you get to something like this. Okay, let's get to the meat of it though. Where's our painter? Yes, I'm a painter. Things are happening. This is the money shot, man. Look at this. Like this is perfectly timed, perfectly executed, looks good. Chances of that being the real sun, I don't know. I mean, that is a big, giant light. If that is not the real sun, that is one big, giant light plus a lot of haze, right? But what is going on here? If we scroll through this thing, this is the Andre Safov method with like dialed up to 1000. Because normally you do that on like a car scenario where you go a slash across the body and then use bounce light or faux bounce light for the face because it's soft on the face and it's hard on the body, right? That's the Safov method. Here, we're doing that. I mean, this is hard. Look at it, how much light is streaming through here. We've got tons of haze, lots of different layers in the building, we won't even talk about the camera, the composition of it all, but let's just talk about the lighting, right? We have to deal with this layer outside, which is the exterior sky that is getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Again, we don't have the sun in the shot, which is good, because if we did, it'd be really hard to pump that much level into this building to be able to hold those skies. So the sun, let's just say it's over here, and let's say we're faux lighting this thing, even though this is a tremendous amount of level. I don't know how you would do that. It would take a lot of light. But Sebastian, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to pull something like this off. So we got harsh sun, shadows. Look at how crispy those things are. This is crisp shadows. Enormous, giant windows, right? Just a pretty cool location. And then our man here, who's gonna be the star, he is hiding behind this well-placed easel, right? And that is soft light on him because he's got his own little 4x4 frame of diffusion there. It's not even diffusion, it's just blocking out all of the light, but the contrast ratios are so that you can still, it's not like a complete black area for the person to stand in. You can still see them, it's all still exposed properly, and you can use those contrasts to just bring it all a little bit closer together. And it's a nice looking shot. as we come in, now we go from this shot, now we're in, look at the change. Where does that light, this light that is hitting the top of his head, right? There's no light on him now. As we go in, yes, give him some light. Give him some light from this way. Give him some neg over here. Block all this down the side of his face. And let's also give him a little edge from over here, right? See this little thing here? And we've got big soft light coming this way. Nice and sidey. And then look at the layers here that we're creating, right? Again, shooting as wide open as you can possibly get. You got this little bit of easel. You got the cool camera move. And you can see the lamp over there. But you're just creating interest by light, dark, light. In the background, we've got a little assistant back there. We got some cool things on the ground, just peppering in the frame and grain to 1000. So that's the difference. We go in the wide, let's just make it interesting. We'll do the whole move. We see, get a little haze action in there. And then into the close-up. And that is, I mean, this is a good looking shot, even though he's looking into the darkness, right? Which you don't normally see with the whole framework style. Normally you would be on, let's see if we go back. Normally you would be coming down the other side of the line. So what is that, over here? And looking a little bit more this way into the shadow. But here, I would imagine it's because of this easel and the frame that they want. That you want to just fill the frame with things that are going to make it feel more three-dimensional to create that depth. So I'm imagining that's why he's looking that way. Like you could easily tell him, hey, Mr. Painter, just paint over here for a little bit. And then I'll come down that way and then it'll look a lot better. But not better. Right? I'm not going to say better. It's going to look slightly different. But that's a good looking move. All right, we're coming right at him. And then we got birds, stock footage. We're back to our crazy move here. Look at how harsh the light is. And then we are at night. It's sunset. We're driving off, thinking about painting. Now we're running. I mean, here we don't really have to talk about this, right? This is just you expose for the sky that you want out there and you shoot the shot. As long as the sun is not in the shot, it's over here. It's giving you these cool shadows. And then the reflection on the floor is nice because it just ups the level in there. You can imagine if this was like a non-reflective surface that was all dark, there wouldn't be any level inside the room. It wouldn't be bouncing around. So you want something that has that reflective quality to it to be able to lift the whole ambience, right? Again, cool, backlit, car driving at night, and we're back inside this room for the fun, right? Like that is a good looking shot. And here again, I mean, the car stuff is shoot at magic hour. Don't make harsh shadows. But really, this one's the frame on the scene that I really like is this interior. And it's just a good, beautiful looking location and a beautiful looking shot. Like that little twist. And then we're in here, nice and sharp. Good luck focus puller. Like that is, this is probably one where sometimes you set these ones up backwards because there's nothing else going on in the frame back there. Right? It's not like you see people walking or there's extras or cars driving by. So a lot of the times you'll see just people do this move in reverse. It might be a little bit hard with his hand because you'd be like, hey, actor, do the painting but in reverse. I guess it's not much difference, right? You're just going side to side. But normally, if your focus puller's having a hard time, you say, well, let's start here because this is the important bit. And as we come out, it's not as important because, you know, the shot will flow into this and stick on this one specific frame. So, I don't know. I really like this. You know, it's got the Sawpoff method to it, blocking the light here. As we come in, we are into just beautiful looking light here, right? Again, the hottest thing in the image is his face, more so than the background, which we saw earlier. Like, look at the floor here, just lit up nuclear levels, right? Still holding, but really, really hot. Like, let's see if we bounce out of full frame. I mean, it is close, right? We're getting very close down here to these things blowing out, but they are not. They're just holding. And that's how, if you're looking at false color again, you could probably, you're just dialing it in, knowing exactly, okay, I can still hold here. And if I hold there, then I can still hold out here. Everything makes perfect sense. But then as we come in, boom, look at that background. It's just gone, right? Okay, it's not supposed to be the same time because this the one extra that they could have is now sitting over here. She's filling out the background, but that's a good looking shot, man. Look at that weird little lens things that are happening there on the edges of the frame. Just a cool looking shot. And again, goes to show you that the two best looking shots side to side, I was watching it the whole time. I just now realized that background was different, right? So again, make the thing look good. Nobody cares if it doesn't match. Backlight, wrap it around, soften it off, you know the rest. Okay, that's gonna do it for this little breakdown here. Hopefully you got something out of it. I don't know if it's just more, the more I look at these things, the more it's like, okay, well, I'm not completely clueless, but maybe I am. I don't know. It just feels like this is the same stuff over and over and over again. It's just about deciding, okay, now the fun comes into it of how much contrast do we want? How far down do we want to go? Those are the choices that you start to make. Like, well, here, how crazy do we want to get? Do we want to go super crazy and keep that where it is, but go really dark here? Do we want to flatten it off? Do we want like a slash in the background somewhere? Like to just keep things interesting? Because again, if we're going for our salt and pepper, like this is a beautiful shot. How do you make it look any better? I mean, this is nice. These little things that are going in the background, you're just looking maybe salt and pepper. Like, do we add a little something? Maybe we don't have enough time. Like on set, when you're doing this whole framework, you never get to everything. It's more like, what do we start with? Well, let's start with the key and the wrap, and what do we balance to? What can't we control? Then we go with the neg, then you add an edge, then we start to worry about the background or the room tone or the ambient, and you just work your way down the whole system like that until you end up with something like this. So hopefully it helps, and we will see you in the next one. If you've got commercials that you want to see broken down, somebody had a good recommendation a few weeks ago that that we actually did on the channel. So if you got recommendations for a commercial, let me know, and we'll try and do them here and break them down and see something cool. Okay?